Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here today. And in today's video, I'm just going to be going over my weekly rotation for the month just after New Year's. So I think maybe like the 2nd through the 9th, 8th or 9th. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right into what I wore on Monday. So I was really excited to bust this one out. I've been trying to conserve the juice because the fragrance was previously discontinued, but if you've been following my channel, I did a kind of news briefing or a breaking news kind of video that announced that this is actually back on the official website, and I ordered a backup bottle full retail from their website. So that was Monday, Prada L'Homme Intense. So we're in the middle of January right now. It was about 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I think this one's a little bit better suited for maybe the autumn, just because it is still soapy and fresh, but it's got some nice darkness to it from like a chocolatey type of patchouli and amber combo in the base, and then a nice leather kind of touch to make it a little bit more, I don't know, rugged than the original Prada L'Homme. But really glad to be able to bust this one back out now that I've got a backup bottle. This one's about halfway done, but I was a lot more with a clear conscience able to spray this one on. So I went ahead and gladly threw this one on for Monday. That was Prada L'Homme Intense. And then Tuesday, okay, so we had a little bit of a freakish sort of heat wave happen. So we're in the middle of January and it was right about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which generally doesn't happen. I mean, there's been a lot of crazy happenstances with weather around the world just because of the way that things are unfolding at this point in history, but nonetheless, I did have this fragrance which I wanted to get a full wearing of. I recently got it for a New Year's haul, and it's a little bit more inclining to a warmer weather type of scent, so being that I got that mini heat wave, I was excited to kind of bust this one out and give it its first full wearing, and that is 40 Knots from the House of Xerjoff. So this one to me comes off in a very marine-like toothpaste or mouthwash, but in a very good way. It's not synthetic or cheap smelling like a mouthwash or a toothpaste, but it's just very fresh in that way. I got an incredible visceral reaction from one of the servers there. They were like, they looked hypnotized when they were asking me, like, what are you wearing? What is that? Show it to me right now. I need to know. I want to get it for my boyfriend. They were a little bit taken aback, though, when I told them that I got this on sale for $180, but I told them, you know, maybe they could find a 50 ml for a little bit better of a price. But to them, they said it smelled a little bit apple-y in some sense, even though there's no apple in here, and I don't really get that. But it just kind of goes to show how complex yet simplistic this fragrance is, that it was coming off in such varied ways to my nose and others. But yeah, only one out of this week's rotation that I got a compliment on. That's Xerjoff's 40 Knots. Definitely recommend sampling this one if you can. You know, if you could spend like 20 bucks to get a 5 ml somewhere, this is really worth trying out at least once. Incredible craftsmanship here on this one. So that was Tuesday with the heat wave, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, Xerjoff 40 Knots. The remainder of the week for me was floating right around the 20 to 30 degree Fahrenheit, and it was mostly cloudy. I think it snowed one of the days, maybe I think Thursday we got a little bit of snow, but for the most part it was just cloudy and 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit for the remainder of the week. So Wednesday I went with Tom Ford's Ombre Leather Eau de Parfum. So I've said many times that I tend to prefer the Parfum version, even though that one's a little bit better suited for the autumn and cold spring days, I would say. While this one has kind of like a chocolatey patchouli base that really sweetens it up a little bit more than the Parfum version, which is a little bit more powdery due to an iris note. But overall, just this is one of my favorite scent profiles of all time. The leather in here is so realistic, so masculine, so opulent, so elegant, and it's just beautiful fragrance. Got a lot of joy out of wearing this one on Wednesday. which is one of the nights that I go in late instead of starting my shift in the morning. So wanted to go with a little bit darker of a fragrance, and I decided to go with Tom Ford's Ombre Leather Eau de Parfum. So Thursday, like I said, it was the only day that it ended up snowing a little bit more while I was out and about and working. Hadn't worn this one yet, so I wanted to get a full wearing out of it just to kind of, get some experience with it and kind of see where I'm at with this fragrance. And it was part of the same haul that I got the Xerjoff fragrance in for the Boxing Day sale at fragrancebuy.ca, and that is Costume National Soul. Really, really pleasantly, I don't want to say surprised because I was expecting this to be a good fragrance, but it's been a pleasant addition to my fragrance collection. Francois Demachy is the perfumer behind this one. I think he also worked on La Nuit de l'Homme and a handful of other popular men's fragrances. So this is a really nice woody, and then there's vanilla and patchouli in the base. Again, kind of somewhat of a theme going on in this week's rotation, but yeah, it has that, between the vanilla and the patchouli, has a nice chocolatey kind of aura that surrounds the main note in here, which is oud. And then the oud in here does have a little bit of a stringency, I think is a good adjective to describe it. It's a little bit like medicinal, or not quite. I mean, it's barnyardy in the sense that it's got a quality to it that it is not going to be that mass appealing. Again, didn't get any compliments on this one when I wore it, but I don't think it's like off-putting or necessarily something that only frag heads are going to enjoy. I think there's going to be a good portion of the population that is going to gravitate towards this because it's got that sweetness and a nice woodiness in it. But yeah, a little bit hard to find. I picked this one up for right around $100. I think it's worth up to like $120, but I wouldn't pay too much more for that just because this one's hard to come by at discounters a lot of the time. But yeah, beautiful creation. Really nice alternative to like the Dior Homme Intense and Givenchy Gentleman and that sort of profile if you took the iris out of it. So it's just got like the nice woody sweetness but no iris, but it kind of scratches that same itch. So that's Costume National Soul. First from the house, so I'm looking forward to trying out their Homme fragrance from them just because this was such a good high quality offering. Okay, so Friday. Friday is one of the days where I like to kind of wear my higher end fragrance, or my more I don't want to say sought after, I guess, but here's the, I guess since I showed it already, the fragrance I wore on Friday. It was hard to kind of top Tuesdays, but I had to wear this because of the change in weather, and I capitalized on that. But this is another fragrance of mine that I own that is kind of like a collector's item. Again, very hard to come by. I paid about $100 for this. I think it's I'm fine paying $100, but I think it's not that much higher of a quality than the normal Cavalli Uomo releases. I think I would have been a little bit happier paying somewhere around $70 for this, but still incredible fragrance. Like I said, I'm content paying $100, but I feel like that is kind of like paying full retail in some sense, and picking it up for $70 would have made me feel a little bit better. But this fragrance, I really, really, really love this Cavalli Uomo line. I do have all 5 bottles. So like one of the things that stands out to me about this line is it's got a very nice velvety, silky, smooth kind of violet note that it builds around. At least most of them build around that kind of note. I think one of them, Deep Desire, might kind of do that with like tuberose or a different floral, I'm pretty sure, but this one keeps the violet and adds some balsamic qualities to kind of make it a little bit more resinous, a little bit more rugged, as well as a really nice leather note. So this one kind of is has some similarities to this. It just feels like there's, it's like a woody sweetness, but it has like a velvety touch on top of all that. Didn't get any compliments on this one either, but I think out of all of these, it's hard to say. I mean, I personally got a lot of enjoyment out of this one on Friday, but this whole week was pretty good to me, at least during the weekday. So moving into the weekend, for Saturday, I wanted to bust this one out. I'd seen it mentioned in a few of my brother's channels. Grown Man Style had this one, and he put it on his top shelf for his top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf series. T Smell Good mentioned this one in one of his videos, and Gerard George also said that he wore it in his weekly rotation, I think on his last weekly rotations video post-Christmas, like leading up to New Year's, and that is Mont Blanc Individual. So Saturday I busted this one out. I usually wear it during the springtime because it's got that nice fabric softener vibe to it. But you know, grown man kind of like reopened my eyes to the fact that there's like some chocolate and that sweet raspberry in here. Overall, I had an enjoyable time wearing this one. I spent it doing some errands and visiting this woman that I help out from time to time. So I was kind of like wearing this over at her place, like doing some chores for her and just kind of doing a little bit of running around. I was actually doing laundry that day, which I usually have to leave the house to do because we don't have a washer and dryer here. But yeah, this is, I think it's really great kind of office vibe. I got quite a bit of wearing out of it. I'm about 1/5 of the way done with the bottle in its lifetime usage, so it is something that I do enjoy, but I feel like it is the sweetness in here and just the overall composition makes it feel a little bit youthful for my tastes. So I would recommend this for office wear. I think this is going to be great for doing some type of sterile, you know, inoffensive type of work, I would say. Even though people compare this to Youp Homme and that fragrance is kind of like loud and obnoxious, I think this one with its soft fabric softener touch is going to be great for office wear. But I think where it's even more shining is back to school, especially like in the winter time when you're coming back from winter break. So if you're a high school kid or a college guy, I think this is going to be a really great one to do for back to school type settings, because it's sort of like office, but then there's like some sweetness from in here that gives it a little bit more of a youthful touch. Probably going to be looking forward to wearing this one more in the spring, like I said, because of the fabric softener vibe. I think that's where I enjoy wearing this one a little bit more, but it was good to bust it out because I hadn't spent some time with it in a little while. So that was Saturday's Mont Blanc Individual. And then finally Sunday, I just had a lazy Sunday, didn't leave the house, just kind of loafed around and vegged and ate snacks and just had a really relaxing time because I try to set some time apart to have those kind of days instead of just run all the time. So me and my daughter just hung out while my wife was at work all day, and I wanted something kind of sweet and cozy and indulgent to some extent. So I went with Bentley for Men Eau de Toilette. Beautiful, beautiful time spent Sunday just kind of enjoying this opulent, boozy, sweet, vanillic, resinous, but at the same time fresh, a little bit. I think there's a slight greenness to this as well. A little bit more projection for me than the intense, just because for whatever reason I think the smoke in the intense time, it just doesn't project that well off my skin, whereas this one really does. And yeah, so I just was enjoying the sort of gourmandy, boozy aspects of this, adding to the laziness of that day and the indulgency of that day. Even though I don't drink, this was kind of like my way of spending a Sunday kind of relaxing with a boozy kind of atmosphere. And you know, like I said, you know, this one is really incredible. I tend to actually prefer it over the intense, although I think the intense is incredible. That one gets way more talk. I think this one, if you haven't tried it out, it's worth picking up. You can find it for like $25 on discounters a lot of the time. So that was my Sunday, Bentley for Men Eau de Toilette. So I haven't decided what my scent for today on Monday is going to be. I'm going to have to go and check that out. I'm leaning towards Mustache Eau de Parfum from Rojas. And so let me know what your scent of the day is today, and I'll see you a week from now for my next weekly rotations video. I appreciate you watching to the end of this one, so take care.